feminism with the suffrage movement. If you had to fight, if your options in order to vote was to fight in the front line of combat, would you give it up during war times?
No.
Nope.
Hell no.
Say the question again, please.
Okay, so if in order to vote, you had to be drafted and in the front lines, not just like cooking in the army.
Go to war, basically.
Yeah, go to war. Would you still want to vote?
Nah, I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'd go to war.
Forget
You'd go
that.
to war?
Nah,
I'm not
good.
voting, no.
Nah.
No.
I'll stay at home. I'll
Stay
tell you that,
home.
I'll stay at home. Nah.
Hell no.
I'm learning to cook any recipe.
I'll cook anything for you.
Get me off
I'll
the
do
battlefield.
anything.
Get me off the battlefield. Do you guys think the wage gap exists?
No.
It does.
It
No,
does, but it's only, what, I don't know, 8-9%?
But are you taking into account the amount of time that women are out of work and the amount of women that work part-time? The majority of men, like, they work full-time and they work for a lot longer than us. So the statistics of saying that there's a wage gap generally doesn't make any sense unless you specify it down to women who are working full-time and men who are working full-time, because otherwise the statistics are skewed, because obviously there's going to be a gap in the wages if a woman is working part-time and a man is working full-time, and say a woman takes time out to go on maternity leave or whatever. Like, I think that statistic is just silly. Like, if you look at men and women actually in the same job, like my job, for example, guy same age as me, both graduates, we earn the same. I don't think you ever walk into a job and the boss decides she's going to earn less because she's a girl. I think maybe there might be a bit of bias when employing someone. Do I want to hire, say, a 28-year-old who's just gotten married versus, say, a 35-year-old man? If I was the boss, you know, thinking financially, I would probably pick the man because, okay, she's just got married, she's 28, she's not got much time left, she's probably going to have kids soon.
And you have to pay for maternity. Oh, God.
Yeah, you have to pay for
I'm like
maternity.
thinking of that from an employer perspective.
Yeah.
I got to pay for you to not work
Yeah.
for 6 months.
No, I
Whatever it
agree
is.
completely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Women don't want to do the most stressful jobs typically. And I say this from like hiring people. I've had situations where I'll offer people roles here where they'll make like double, triple the amount, like, but they'd have to recruit, and recruiting's hard and they don't typically want to do it. And it's stressful because we can't do the show if you don't do it.
Yeah.
But women, I don't know, they just don't want to do those jobs.
Exactly. And like, if you look at jobs like, for example, like labor jobs, I mean, I don't know a lot about this, but, you know, the majority of women aren't in labor jobs, and people love to scream, oh, this is inequality and, you know, women aren't welcome in these industries. No, be real with yourself. Do you actually want to be on a construction site? And the majority of women don't want to be there. So that's why we're not there.
That means
That's
there would be a
actually
gap.
true.
You just contradicted
It's true.
yourself. That means there would be a gap in the working industry with man and woman.
A
'Cause there's-
wage gap? How would there be a wage gap? Because if a woman got employed in the labour job, same as a man, she would still earn the same. So there wouldn't be a wage gap.
She wouldn't earn the same because she wouldn't be able to do the job anyway. She's not physically strong enough to do the job. And the boss will see that. So he's not going to pay someone full wage knowing that she can't even partake the full job anyway.
But she's not doing the same work
Fair
as the
enough.
guy anyway, so it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, it's
inequality.
not.
She's not capable of doing what the man's capable. It would be really unfair to
Yeah.
pay her the same and a man break his
She can't
back
do the
every day
job.
and her get the same money. I'd be livid if my husband come home and as a woman doing less and he's coming home broken. And like, that's just not right.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I just think, like, you usually hear things of people saying, like, you know, I went on a podcast recently and we were discussing engineering, and I was on there with a girl who was talking about how she was in engineering, and she was really successful in it. Like, she was actually, like, above the majority of men. She was in quite a high power position. She struggled in that position, obviously, because getting a group of men to listen to you when you're in an industry like that is going to be quite hard. But I just think, like, women, the majority of the times, aren't in those jobs because they don't want to be. Like, obviously, physical strength is a limitation, of course. But I do believe that in this day and age, if you want to do something, you can go and give it a go. And I think if a woman wanted to be in the labour industry, she would and could and should go give it a go. But I do agree that
Well,
if
I'll
she
be
was
honest.
earning as
I'm
much, it
a
wouldn't be right.
build fibre engineer, so I'm the ones that's picking up the ducks and everything and pushing through, cables and everything, bringing fibre to people's.
And do you earn
areas.
the same as your male
Yeah, I
colleagues?
do. I earn exactly the same.
So I want to ask a question. Would you guys work in an oil rig in Alaska for
No.
$300,000 a year? Raise your hand if you would.
Yeah,
I would.
I would.
So I had a feeling these
Purely-
two would be the only one.
Purely for curiosity
Yeah, give it a go.
and adventure.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If you ask a group of guys that questions, half of them are like, "I'm gone." Where
Do you
we
know why
going?
they're going for the peace? Like to get out the crazy households that exist now. Like, yes, please.
Do you think women are more masculine today than 50 years ago?
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
100%.
And have you guys ever struggled with your femininity?
100%.
100%.
100%.
Definitely have.
Okay, anyone who struggled with their femininity?
I would say I struggle in a sense where I have no choice but to be masculine to fend for myself, because there isn't really any man providing for me in that sense. So I'm forced to actually be masculine and then, pay for my rent, the car, everything else I have to pay for. If I had the choice, I would choose to drop that tomorrow and actually just have a guy do all of that.
Are men forced to be feminine when they're single fathers
Yeah.
because there's no woman in the home?
Not necessarily. They can go find a female to replace that.
But I feel like they would have to tap into certain feminine roles. I wouldn't say they have to be feminine, but they might have to do something that they wouldn't have to do. Like, for example, if they have for example, I lived with my dad for a period of time. My mum wasn't in the home. He had to tell me about, which was very awkward, monthly, your period. He had to have that conversation with me. Whereas if a woman was in the house...
Right, but does he start acting like a girl? Like, is he like, hi?
No, definitely
Girl,
not. If you meet my
like,
dad, definitely
girl,
not.
how you doing?
He definitely would not be doing that. But
It's like, I'm in my feminine today.
no. But he had to step into a feminine role.
Right.
But he was still very masculine.
Right.
But I feel like, how can I explain?
But I think that's how guys hear it when we say we have to be masculine.
Yeah.
Because there's no because there's not a guy around, or we have to do masculine things.
I feel like for me, when I was in masculine energy, is when I was in a relationship where the man wasn't leading. So I wasn't able to be feminine. He was allowing me to make this. Like, I like making decisions, but it was a thing of where I was making all of the decisions. Like, oh, it's fine. No, you have the last say. And it was like, okay, like, oh, you do this, you do that. I was in a masculine energy because the man wasn't operating in a masculine energy.
Yeah.
So I was basically like struggling and fighting every single day.
Well, why are you picking feminine men?
Do you know? Well, why am I pick? I was very young when I met him. I was 18, so I didn't know about feminine, masculine energy. You're young. Oh, he looks good. Oh, he's nice, and you just go with the flow. So I didn't know that then. It wasn't until 7 years have gone past. And
Wait, okay, so you didn't notice it for 7 years?
I noticed it, but I was like ignoring it because I was like, oh, this is who I love, I want to be with. And you ignore, when you're in love, you're blinded.
So for 7 years you were masculine?
Masculine, yeah.
So how did you stop being masculine? Because I'd imagine, like, if you do something for 7 years, how do you just break that habit?
To be honest with you, I'm still in therapy. I'm still healing and learning. I haven't stopped being masculine. I'm learning how to not be masculine. So I'm single at the moment because I've had to learn. Like, I basically stopped by not being with that person anymore and realizing that, oh my gosh, I was operating in masculine energy because they wasn't. And it wasn't even their fault. It's just something that they couldn't do. It wasn't within them. So now I'm in a learning process. Like, okay, I don't want to be masculine anymore. I want to be feminine. I want to be soft, but still, I'm not the type of soft person that just sit at home. No, I like to work. I like to earn. But I want to be able to be, for a man to look at me and be like, this is a woman. She's not trying to be strong, like aggressive. I don't want to be like that. But yeah, so I'm still in the process of...
So for the single fathers, what actually stops the guy from getting a replacement woman?
What stops him?
What stops him getting a replacement woman?
I mean, maybe he doesn't like the modern women today. A lack of wives. Common law marriage. I mean, the risks that come with marriage, not wanting to bring a bunch of women in and out of the home, knowing they might leave. And like knowing that's hard on a child.
Yeah.
But then even if he just finds a girlfriend to just facilitate the mother being there, so he doesn't have to be a full-on feminine single dad.
He might not want to be introducing women to his child because it's not easy. He might think, oh, if I introduce this woman, how long is she going to be there for?
I mean, women leave 70 to 80% of the time in in marriages. And so if it's a girlfriend, how long is she really going to be there?
I'm sure he can find a solution for that.
I'm sure.
I mean, I think that's a feminine point of view because for us, it's like there's always someone.
Yeah.
But for men, it's not always. I mean, 1 in 3 men are sexless. They haven't had sex in the past year, or they're virgins under 30. And so it's not as simple as, oh, just find someone.